Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to another episode of Cloud Drops Weekly, where we here at Think Big Technologies cover the latest and greatest in cloud native and Kubernetes technology. Today is Wednesday, March 20th. If you are in the United States and catching this video, you're actually watching this right in the middle of KubeCon EU 2024 that's taking place right now in Paris, France. And it is such a phenomenal turnout. There's so many different talks. There's so much great information all around. I know Isovalent and the Cilium people had a great pre-con, KubeCon, day zero session, mini hackathon, whatever you call it. Fantastic talks come out of there. Other great talks coming from Cloud Native Rejects, which is from our good friends over at Kinvolt, which is now Microsoft subsidiary, if you will. And just so many people showing up. I think that's probably one of the best KubeCons. I would include Amsterdam in that because who doesn't love Amsterdam? So shout out to the Netherlands. But this is really big. Kubernetes has been taking multi generational leaps and bounds into not just stability but pushing the bounds and the boundaries of technology. um I know some people have had conversations on whether or not Kubernetes is still going to be here 2 years from now or 5 years from now or 10 years from now, but here we are pushing close on 10 years of Kubernetes, and the number of companies and billions of dollars that have been spent um just pushing forward the mindset of multi-cloud, of open source, of cloud native, no vendor lock-in, but yet still being able to take advantage of all of the different features that each cloud provider brings has just been nothing short of phenomenal. So um as the title says, basically rock bottom pricing with Kubernetes, Kubecost, and AWS EKS. That's what we're talking about today. Today's focus is going to be exclusively on Kubecost and specifically Kubecost 2.0. If you are reading this, through your podcast of choice or watching this, if you will, you should have heard also that KubeCost, while launching 2.0 back in February, they recently just went ahead and made another significant leap where they are now on 2.2. And KubeCost 2.2, I'll touch on this and I'll work my way backwards. Actually, no, I'll start with 2.0 and move forward. So 2.0 is almost a complete redesign of KubeCost. And KubeCost, if you're not familiar with it, KubeCost was founded by ex-Googlers. Company, the parent company is called Stackwatch. The fellas over there, Matt Bolt, AJ Tripathy, and Webb Brown went ahead and saw that there was a significant need and being able to understand the actual cost of Kubernetes clusters, and more importantly, what that cost could be if you were to go ahead and right size your cluster. Maybe you were over provisioned, maybe you didn't even know you're over provisioned, and if you were running Kubernetes in production circa 2018, 2019, prior to even EKS, you would have been faced with these same challenges. You would have gotten an email from the director of IT, the VP of technology saying, "Hey, we're spending $1 million a month on AWS. Here's what our total cost is. Why are we spending a couple 100,000 on Kubernetes?" Or whatever your budget is. For some, that's just like, why would you spend that? But again, it depends on what your application is. But you didn't have a real solid answer as to, well, how are we spending this? You knew that you were spending it. You had the clusters to prove it. You had the connections to prove it. You certainly had the manpower to show that, hey, we have observability. We're collecting logs through our F cluster or L cluster or Splunk or Datadog, what have you. But we're getting all of this data that shows that we have users who are using our application, who are hitting our clusters. Um, and then we have to come back and say, okay, well, let's justify this cost, right? And what's interesting is when you look back, I don't think any of the fellas over there at Stackwatch had any idea that they were actually creating a completely new sector of operations in FinOps and being able to understand financially why we should all be on the same page, right? IT is viewed as a cost center from many organizations. Most of them are very backwards thinking, but even the best of the best are saying, "Hey, listen, IT's costing us, $500,000 a month on Kubernetes. Why, right?" And IT's coming back with, "Well, we don't know." It's at this time where some orgs would do creative calculations, and maybe they weren't doing chargebacks from their central services or whatever group that they fell up under, but they needed to be able to get that information. So some people resorted to tagging and let's be able to track it that way. But AWS did not have a solution for this, and none of the other cloud providers did either. So Stackwatch was formed, Kubecost was formed, subsequently OpenCost around I think 2022, and now we're up to Kubecost 2.2. And so Kubecost 2.0 leaps and bounds, and I'll show you here in a second, but it really allowed you to group together namespaces, group together resources, and really get a holistic viewpoint of everything inside of Kubernetes, down to the node, and its cost. And being able to associate that cost, being able to have that chargeback, and it's been a game changer. Organizations who have deployed KubeCost have seen a reduction of their total Kubernetes cost of ownership drop by, say, 60%. And that is not an exaggeration. It's just a matter of really understanding, wow, we have too much, provision in terms of resource, or our node sizes are too big, or we're maybe under provision, right? Or based upon the peak hours, there are other things that we can do within Kubernetes, within our pipeline, to better leverage our compute, our memory, this platform, right? So I want to go ahead and get into it, but let's kind of touch on what's going on with KubeCost 2.2, right? And this literally hit yesterday. And so one of the, there's a couple of big capabilities of 2.2, but I'll kind of hit them at the high level. Carbon cost monitoring, right? KubeCost 2.2 allows you to basically find out what the actual carbon cost is, right? To conduct energy audits and easily compare financial and environmental costs across business cost center, right? The department, application, etc. And then that information is basically helping you to make an informed decision, right? And basically allow you to reduce, or put a plan in place to reduce your carbon footprint. And if that's something that your company really needs to be doing, which we all should be doing, our part, then KubeCost is actually making that foray into there, and congrats to them, because that truly is forward thinking. The other big feature now is KubeCost now provides unified cloud cost monitoring for Datadog, right? And for organizations that are seeking to observe and optimize, Kubernetes and their cloud provider and Datadog costs, which let me start on Datadog. Great product, but insane what that cost is. But you can get all of that in one place. So again, shout outs to KubeCost for really knocking that one out the park. I know that was a big request. We had Datadog. We got all of this. What the heck is that costing us? So now we can get a better picture and put all that together and really know where we are, right? And I know finance is like, yeah, get us that data so we can redo our contract or talk to different teams or do chargebacks or whatever. But it really gives you that granular real-time visibility into usage and costs, and that helps developers make better decisions, helps the FinOps movement and just the idea of finance and operations and speaking that one language, and then providing those metrics. And now we can move forward with the plan. Let's put a plan in place to reduce that and maximize our platform and its usage, right? Even down to headcount. So you have that, right? And the other thing I'm gonna go ahead and touch on here is disk autoscaler, right? And so Kubecost now automates disk scaling based on EBS persistent volume utilization, right? That's huge feature, right? And what it does is it dynamically adjusts disk size. And this is something we were not talking about 2.0. It was maybe a dream. I don't know what roadmap this was on, but somebody was paying attention to customer feedback. I'll tell you that much. And so, this could result to, a savings of 50% or more when you're dynamically being able to do that. There are many other companies who have, cost observability products. And God bless them, because you have to go up and compete with the juggernaut that is Scoop Cost. And while we're on this topic, Think Big Technologies. We are a Kubecost certified reseller, and we are also able to go ahead and provide you that information back, right? So if you say, hey, listen, sign me up, we want to go ahead and get that cost observability, go ahead and reach out to us. Drop us an email, info at THNKBIG.com, or you can email me directly, Rudy, RUDY, at thinkbig.com. So let's go ahead. Let's get on into cool costs and just how are we spinning this whole thing up. So I'm gonna go ahead and walk through the dashboard, and then I'll hop over to VS Code and just how we got there, right? So let's go take a look. All right. So here we are. We have Kube costs right here. And this is the Kubecost dashboard. Now, how do you get this dashboard? Where is this coming from? This is coming from Kubecost Cloud. This is basically a Helm chart that gets deployed in your Kubernetes cluster. And this Helm chart has all of the connections to connect up to Kubecost, that is already hosted by Kubecost. You don't have to worry about hosting this within your cluster. And when you do this, you're immediately enabled for cost observability. You're gonna get immediate information back. So I'm gonna hop over there to our VS Code and kind of show you how we got here. So here's our VS Code. This is, the Helm chart for KubeCost. This is did this in Terraform. Basically, the only thing you need is just the KubeCost token. This token you can go ahead and find under the getting started section for KubeCost. And we have the ability to add other features and turn different things on within the Helm chart. The Helm chart, we actually have that listed over here as well. It's a very robust Helm chart, full of different features and options. But with Kubecost, you're going to get Prometheus. You're going to go ahead and get Grafana. You have the ability to utilize the GCP marketplace. You can go ahead and utilize Google Cloud Managed Service for Prometheus. You can also leverage the AWS Managed Service for Prometheus, also known as AMP. And then you can tune and tweak different things, right? You can set up a mirror proxy, tune your notifications, right? And the list literally just goes on. And it's a well documented Helm chart. In my opinion, one of the best that's out there. Uses Alert Manager, right? So if you're familiar with the Prometheus operator, that gives you Prometheus Alert Manager and Grafana all in one package. Kubecost does the same thing, but specifically just to support Kubecost. You can decide what you want to do with save reports. Do you want to enable that feature or not? Do you want to go ahead and make certain decisions about saved assets reports, right? We're going to step right on through this, right? Advanced reports we have here, cloud cost reports. You can go ahead and annotate your pods. You have security context, platforms. This is very important, right? You can go ahead and deploy this to OpenShift. It does support OpenShift. THNKBIG is also a Red Hat partner, and we have other videos that you can find here on our channel in relation to OpenShift, but this will also give you that information as well, right? Do you want to go ahead and deploy it to OpenShift, or do you want to go ahead and continue to hook up to Kubecost Cloud? This is probably a really great option if you're running this in a secure, air-gapped environment where you want to go ahead and have this directly on the cluster, not sending that data out, and Kubecost does support that. You have pricing CSVs. You have area here for all of your SAMA RBAC, all that good stuff. OIDC, right? You have that your one central area for your authentication. Hook that right onto whatever you're using Okta, GitHub, whatever. You can hook that on up. System proxy, Kubecost front end, features galore for that. Readiness probes, liveness probes, everything you could think and want to tweak, right? They've done a phenomenal job of taking the feedback. It's a really well ran product. As we're stepping through this again, Kubecost model, you have plugins that are enabled here, that you can go ahead and choose to turn on. Allocation information, max, what was this one? Max query concurrency, right? That one thing is currently set to 5. You can also tune and tweak CPU memory for that. You also have ET utils. And this one here relates over to Thanos. You have Kubecost ingress that you can set up. Again, I don't think that there's it seems like they really wrote a Helm chart that has everything but the kitchen sink in it. And if I look hard enough, I probably will find the kitchen sink listed in here. Prometheus settings, right? You're familiar with Prometheus, all of these settings, right? Whatever you want to go ahead and do. I believe you'll probably find remote writes in here as well. So if you want to send this up to another Prometheus or send this over to Cortex, go ahead and knock yourself out. Shout out to all my Loki people who are out there, and just I can't say enough about the product and what they give you, because without all this, the first question would be, okay, well, can we hook it into Grafana? Can we hook it into Prometheus? Alerting. It's not just enough to, okay, great, we have cost information. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna alert on? Who's gonna get notified and when? Um, Kubecost is not something that you would set up in terms of an outage, but you would definitely find leaky costs, right? Are there certain times of the day, times of the month where we're consistently just spending way more than what we should, right? And I love the fact that we move from error budgets in Kubernetes to we're doing real budgets in Kubernetes. So, that's awesome. Um, and as we're kind of going through this, I'm not going to go through each and every line. This literally is, I think it's about a 3,000. Yeah, it's literally about 3,000 line Helm chart, and every feature imaginable is here. I encourage you to go ahead and check out his GitHub Kubecost. Check it out. But let's hop back over to the browser, and well, hold on. Before we do that, I need to touch on something. So this is stood up with just Terraform. Um, we are using the helm provider within Terraform, and within that helm provider, again, we're just instantiating the Kubecost token per the directions. And I'll jump over here and show you what those directions look like. So back over here in our browser, here is the installation method, right? Just to go ahead and get started, this is on Kubecost website. It's also on our website, but it's a simple Helm install. Kubecost, you get the cost analyzer, and when that goes ahead and gets installed, you just need to set the Kubecost token. That's what we did within Terraform, and then you'll do a kubectl port forward over localhost for 9090, port 9090, and you're able to go ahead and see your data. And that's what we have here. So coming into Kubecost, we're really able to go ahead and just see immediately off the bat, wow, we have the total cost of Kubernetes. We have the total cost of all of our cloud resources. And then we have a possible monthly savings, right? And then cluster efficiency, right? We're able to go ahead and get that information. Now, cost, they will go ahead and assign a certain cost based upon your cloud provider, and then if they're not able to determine certain costs, then they'll wait until that bill is generated and then true all of that stuff up. It's very easy. It's If you're not using it, I would say you may be the cost center in your IT organization. Um, I would not go ahead and make this the last product that you deploy within Kubernetes, but I would definitely go ahead and make this probably the second thing that you deploy, whether you are in dev or prod. And I think you actually make better decisions when you can actually see what Kubernetes is costing you. But let's go ahead and click on this Kubernetes costs and view the report. So we click on that. Here's a report. We've had this up since yesterday. Well, at least we've had our cluster up since yesterday. And you'll notice, something here interesting. You have a view of last 7 days, last 30, last 60, 90, 12 months, etc. You can also look at this daily, weekly, monthly. We'll look at this if we wanted to by the day. Click apply, and that's currently what we are on right now. Via namespace, you can also come through here and have a single aggregation or multi aggregation, which is really cool. If I want to go ahead and look at a particular pod, I can come in here and view this by pod. And when I look at it by pod, just hover my mouse over the bar graph shows me the pods and how much they're actually costing me, right? So right now we're about a nickel for each kube proxy. Core DNS, good old core DNS is costing us 6 cents. It's a very small cluster that we're running just for this demo purpose. We also have the Nginx ingress controller sitting over there, and then we have the kube cost analyzer and the forecasted pod sitting there as well. And then idle, it shows I think it's running about $3. Um, and you have that view. You can also scroll down through here, and you can click on each one of these. So before I click on this, I'm gonna switch this so you can see. So that's viewing it by pod. Let's view it by node. And as you can see, here are three nodes. We're in US East 2, good old Ohio. And we're able to see the efficiency, right? Strangely enough, and probably not strangely because when you dig into the data, you'll find out. But right now, we're about 7.8 efficiency on the second node within our three node worker node group. And the first node, we're at 45.2%, which is really cool. Um, we're not using spot instances right now. We're using on demand. But when I click on the node, it's going ahead and showing me the CPU, GPU for everybody, doing AI LLM work. Um, we have RAM, we have a persistent volumes, we have network information, load balancer, shared efficiency, and then you have the total cost. And on this particular node, right, we're able to go ahead and see what's running on that node. Here's AWS pod. Here's what's running. Here's the cost that it is costing us. If you can imagine this in your production environment, what are you going to see? And Here's the scarier thing. If you don't have Kubecost deployed, what are you not seeing? Right. And I think, we are so enamored with graphs and wow, we were able to see all this data. But just think of what you're actually spending when you cannot see this. If your data dog takes more than one person to manage, I guarantee you, you will be shocked out of your mind when you actually see where you're spending the money. Not that, oh, we can't cover the bill. We pay the bill, it's not a problem. But what does it actually cost you, and do you need to spend that much? Again, it's a better conversation, and cool costs is helping all of us be better efficient, right? The cluster is efficient. We need to go ahead and get on board too. So let's step on through the rest of this, right? So let's go back over here. Product, all right? So unallocated workloads, you can go ahead and provide Kubecost with information on that. The owner information, I don't have any information on here broken down by owner, but if I did, Kubecost will go ahead and pick that up. Stateful sets, nothing there to report. Team, I don't have anything there. Service, not much there either. Um, Daemon sets containers. Look at the container side, right? And here are the two containers. But what's really cool is here's the controller name, right? If I got rid of the controller name, and more important, if I got rid of the node, let me just see the containers that are running. Here's what they're costing. Again, really cool. This conversation around kube costs and even from a container mindset and being very granular will also go hand in hand with a conversation around our repo. We haven't gotten into this here on this platform, but we've had conversations with our clients about, are we running efficient containers? Are we continually just doing copy pasta? And when we're doing that, are we actually writing efficient containers that are not just performing efficiently, but from a cost standpoint, are they performing efficiently? Changes the conversation, and it keeps us where we should be, which is, what is the return on investment for the business, for the enterprise of running this container, right? It allows us to have a better conversation with the dev teams as well. I don't necessarily want kube costs or any applications to change it on the fly. Let's have a conversation. Let's get educated. Let's get the information, and then now let's go ahead and put a plan in place that again keeps the service up and running, keeps his application up, keeps his product up and running. The plane, the airline application, whatever it is, the banking app. But we're also staying in line with finance. So as we're walking through this again, controllers, Damon says, I'm not gonna go on each one of these, but again, I could just so you can see it. But we'll jump back over to the default view, where it has a namespace. Multi-aggregation is pretty cool because you can go ahead and tie a namespace with node, right? If you wanted to say, let me get every namespace and every, department or deployment, these are good things to go ahead and aggregate together and really get a good view, right? So here we are, we select the namespace and deployment. Well, the namespace of kube costs and the deployments that we have inside there, right? I can get a better idea of what that's actually costing me, right? Right now, it's a total of 3 cents for, or 4 cents, for both deployments, for Kubecost Grafana and Kubecost Prometheus server. If I'm going to go ahead and roll that down to, I think, what do we have down at the bottom? We have the Kubecost analyzer and the Kubecost forecasting. I think just with that alone, we're upwards around what, 37, about 41, just over 40 cents, just for kube cost deployments. This is not how we have been thinking, but this is how we should be thinking when we're talking about site reliability engineering. We're talking about cloud operations, the total cost of ownership that Amazon has really championed along with AWS. I'm sorry, AWS along with Azure, but the total cost ownership model. takes on a different flavor when you're not running the blind when it comes to Kubernetes. What's interesting, I had someone say, you know what, does Kubecost work with ECS? And I haven't gone down that road. I probably could find the information out, but I'm curious if Kube costs will actually give us that information. Again, it's Kube costs, not ECS costs, but I think give Kube costs another year, and I think everything will be here. Right now, Kube costs ingest, from what I understand, from actually using them. I'll show it. I won't show it here because we haven't actually integrated it in, but I know for a fact that Kube costs will go ahead and show you your databases. They'll show you your network information. They'll show you all of this from a cost viewpoint inside of AWS, and it's mind blowing. It really is. Um, as we're going through this, one of the other questions you may ask yourself, now that you see how to go ahead and deploy KubeCost, what is it doing right with the cost analyzer? And the cost analyzer has a function, the forecasting, as I showed you right here. It's going ahead and giving us a forecast on the possible monthly savings, right? And I'll click this view report. Estimated monthly savings available $704. That's cash money. Right size cluster nodes, adjust the number and size of your cluster's nodes to stop overspending on unused capacity, right? Save up to $379 a month. How do you go about doing it? It shows us here, right? Here's the cluster, 2-day window, show optimization inputs, right? And this is really cool, like how they break this down. And they even give you information up top, right? It's important to know right size and recommendations. Use two primary inputs. First, your own description of the type of work running on the cluster. Second, the shape of the each workloads. This looks like a typo of each workload's resource requirements as measured by Kubecost metrics, right? And then we consider different heuristic strategies for meeting the cluster requirements. You can download this as a PDF and drop this into an email, right? This is a great sprint planning conversation. We're not having someone in an ad hoc fashion, or read the tea leaves and the smoke signals and check the weather in terms of, well, what's this really called? We have data, raw data on what this cluster is costing us, what the container, the deployment, the nodes. And it shows us here, right? Daemon set resources combined with max pod resources, right? And then here's the set vCPUs, here's the daemon set RAM, and then here's a recommendation complex, right? It's just amazing where it's showing us. Look, we could say 92.1%. Think of the total cost of ownership. If you could go ahead and deploy Kubecost right now and save 92%, what would that do for your org? Who could you hire? What resources could you bring in order to focus, as we tell our customers, on revenue generating activities? Very rarely is Kubernetes a revenue generating activity, right? And I love Kubernetes. Unless Kubernetes is running your airline check-in system for, say, American Airlines, and you're doing some sort of a digital transformation, or your Delta Airlines running Kubernetes, on your back end. Are you running KubeCost? I know the organizations who have KubeCost deployed, right? I know what our customers are saving. 60% when I'm having these conversations, when our sales teams have these conversations, saying, hey, listen, not only can we manage your Kubernetes infrastructure, your cloud infrastructure in AWS, Azure, and GCP and DigitalOcean, but we can actually come in and save you off the bat up to 60%, right? I don't want to give them a hard number, just up to 60% in a quarter. That's gonna raise eyebrows. What did you all do? And we still have a performant, efficient production platform where we're shipping code as quickly as we can. The game is up. Fortnite is up. Whatever it is up and running, and we're saving money. That's money in the bank. That's bonuses. Those are raises. That's money in the coffers for the business. Just we all have to just raise up to one other level and understand. As fun as it is to push code and play with all of the school technology, we're able to actually impact people's lives for the better. Because you talk about money, you know, with all of the different layoffs that have happened over the last 12 to 24 months, being able to save money, being able to understand, hey, we can still walk and chew bubble gum at the same time as an org, but we're not just a cost center, we're actually going to save costs and increase productivity. That's something to go ahead and celebrate. So, as I'm coming down here, this recommendation area, it shows us here right now. We're currently running $406 a month, no count 3 nodes, 12 vCPUs, 48 gigs of RAM on T2X large. The recommendation is to drop down to T2 micro, plus two more T2 micro. Get the 4 gigs that it gives you, the 5 vCPUs, and then no count. So increase the no count from 3 to 4, and then we're at 92% savings. I want to say 93. Go down to T3A small, right? And then it shows learn how to adopt. Again, amazing, and it shows adopt recommendation. One click cluster resizing requires the Kubecost cluster controller. Click here to learn how to install it. And the installation for this is not rocket science. Let's click over here and see what it says. So here are the instructions from Kubecost docs, and it shows us here, you know, this is currently in beta, so read documentation carefully. Definitely want to try this in dev, and if you're comfortable with it, roll it on out. I would even put it in a dev production cluster just to see, are you happy with the results? But um, Cool costs will go ahead and turn down. It will turn those nodes night night, and wake them up saving money with the appropriate size for your workload. But it shows here that the cluster control allows you to access additional savings features through automated processes. To function, the cluster controller requires right permissions to certain resources on your cluster. And for this reason, the cluster controller is disabled by default. So you definitely want to go ahead and enable this when you are ready. And it says that the cluster controller can be enabled on any cluster type, but certain functionality will only be enabled based on the cloud service provider of the cluster and its type. And as we look through here, provider service key setup. So it shows us for GKE, what that information is here. And it shows us for EKS, how to go ahead and take advantage of that here, right? So literally it looks like we're just standing up a user or auto scaling full access user, giving it appropriate permissions, plus the following EKS specific permissions. Once that's completed, create the service key JSON, use the access key ID, secret access key, fill that in, and then run the following kubectl, not kubectl, but kubectl create secret, right? Get the secret created, and then here's a full example of this process using AWS CLI and simple IAM user, right? And it's all laid out here. And then cool, they also have cops, right? So from old school cops people, shout out to cops, love cops. Cops before EKS. I need to put that on a t-shirt or a sticker. But here's the same setup for cops, right? And then when that's done, it shows deployed. You can now enable cluster controller and Helm chart by finding the cluster controller Helm flag. Um, when I went ahead and looked this up, the cluster controller was online 436. So yeah, 436, and in this same area, it allows you to you can set your FQDN, you set a couple other things inside there. But then you have well, I'll tell you back. That's 436 for something completely different. 2620 if you're using the current version of the Helm chart, is the Kubecost cluster controller for right sizing and cluster turn down. So again, it is shoot. Let me just show you since I'm looking at it right here. Let's look at it together. So let's come over here and let's pop this up. There we go. All right. So as you can see here, 2620 line, line 2620. Here's the cluster controller. It's disabled by default. Here's the image that it's running. Right, check that in the harbor. Scan it. The image pull policy, priority class name. Set custom tolerations for the cluster controller. Action configs, cluster turn down. This is really cool, right? Being able to set this on this level to really say, hey, my schedule started and ended and repeated. Phenomenal, right? This configures the Kubecost namespace turn down action. And again, you can go ahead and set it for a dry run. You set the schedule as a cron job. It's right here, line 2648. Targeted objects, keep patterns, keep labels, parameters. And then there's a section down here on 2660 for cluster right size. Again, you get to specify the start time, the frequency in minutes, last completed, recommendation parameters, right? The window, the architecture, target utilization, minimum node count, allow shared cores, allow cost increase, recommendation types. And then they have a section right under that for being able to configure the continuous request sizing action. Again, stack watch. Listen, Kubecost stack watch. Somebody's been listening to customers, right? Can't say the same for many other vendors, but you all been doing it right. Container right size information here on 2679. And it just goes on, right? You have Kube Scaler after that, but that's the nuts and bolts of it, right? That is where you're really gonna see increased benefits, right? And that's pretty much it. The next page of documentation is on cluster turndown, what it does, the setup for it, right? They show you how to do it for a multi-cluster strategy. When the turndown schedule occurs, a new node pool with a single G1 small node is created. Taints are added to this node to only allow specific pods to be scheduled there. The cluster turndown pod deployment is updated so the pod is allowed to schedule on the singleton node. Once the pod is moved to the new node, it will start back up and resume scale down. This is done by coordinating all nodes in the cluster other than our new G1 small node and then reducing the node pool size to 0, right? Which this crazy enough, this is like the going back to cops. This is how cops actually goes about doing the upgrades for you. So this is all Kubernetes best practice, all Kubernetes production best practice, but to automate something that we would do, and I know there's probably several of us out here who have written scripts. You written it in Python, Bash, whatever, to do this exact same thing, but probably not based off of costs. So again, can't say enough. So let's jump back over here. Let's close this out. So we see the recommendation. Um, jump back over here to overview. Let's quickly. I think we looked at total costs already. Yeah, we looked at this one. We'll go and look at. I think we did possible monthly savings. Cluster breakdown. You can come in here and look at the provider, the version, the region, health score, which is really cool. Nodes, namespaces, pods, controllers, the total cost, estimated savings, and the efficiency, and then spending trend. If you leave this up here long enough, you'll get the spending trend. There's no budget. Very easy to add a budget. You can come in here, click new budget. We'll say this is gonna be EKS dev. Let's leave it at that. Budget cap. Let's say I want a cap of we'll do $100. $100 resets weekly. Yeah, that's fine. Reset on Monday. Yeah, we'll do that. Budget for the workloads of a particular cluster or a namespace. We'll do about cluster, which cluster should apply to cluster one, and then what's the action? Well, the action I want this to be triggered at 100% no. I want this to get triggered at say 75%. Drop the email, drop the Slack webhook, drop the team. So again, all my colleagues, former colleagues, clients, friends over there at Microsoft and Xbox, hey, as a team's webhook, that's always a good thing. But you can go ahead and save that, and you know now you have a budget, and this budget will go ahead and look. It's tracking right now, 54 cents of $100, and here's the details. View a detailed breakdown. And I don't have to go deal with the AWS, and I love it. I think it's great. The cost center that's in there, right? I don't have to deal with that. I can keep this cloud native. I can go ahead and have management be able to log into this, see what they need to see. I got finance look into this. Your director of cloud operations look at this. Anybody and everybody can go ahead and run reports, right? And this should be a daily conversation, should be a regular conversation within your platform team and your organization about what it's costing. Make sure we keep the cost down. Here's what we want. Here's how things should be deployed. We have another video on Rafe and OpenShift also on this platform. And if you can imagine a world where your templates within Rafe, the blueprints from AWS, all that is influenced by this, right? We're going to go ahead and configure the most efficient cluster possible in order for us to get our work done. The most efficient development environment possible in order to get the work done that we need to get done. And that goes right over to Rafe in order for us to go ahead and turn out. That goes right into OpenShift. Here's the cluster that we're going to go ahead and improve. Here's the blueprint. Here's the Ansible playbook. Done. So, let's go ahead and see what else Kubecost has to offer, right? So we have cluster efficiency. We have the day, how much the cluster costs on a specific day. That's really cool. Again, cluster efficiencies here, namespaces, namespace trends, um, showing the namespaces that are costing the most money. Yeah, I don't think you want to be at the top of this list, for the wrong reason, right? Cloud cost breakdown. Now with this, we did not go ahead and integrate with AWS yet. We will. And it's very easy to you again click here, learn more. This is an EKS add-on. And the add-on can be done either through EKS CTL, it can be done through Terraform, or it can be done with a manual AWS EKS command. You just need to go ahead and make sure that you are using the where is it? You need to go to the Kubecost subscription and get that. Make sure that you're signed up for it, that you're subscribed to it, and then once you're subscribed to it, it actually enables it within your cluster. So that's that. Network cost breakdown, really cool feature where Kubecost will go ahead and show you how much your network is costing you. Mind blowing. You can find that information over here in the documentation. I think it's let's see, yeah, network traffic cost allocation. Somebody's been paying attention to customer feedback. This document describes how Kubecost calculates network costs. Can you imagine? Kubecost uses best efforts to allocate network transfer costs to the workloads generating those costs. The level of accuracy has several factors described below. Network cost data set, which when I saw this a couple weeks ago, I thought this was incredible. All right, and this has to be enabled in order to view the network costs in the cloud integration. Um, so these are the two primary factors that they take into consideration. The daemon say here, right? It's an optional utility, gives Kubecost more detail to attribute costs to the correct pods. When the network cost is enabled, Kubecost gathers pod level network traffic metrics to allocate network transfer costs to the pod responsible for traffic. And I'm sitting up here just thinking, like, wow, if I had this on one of those Cilium clusters, during their day zero session earlier this week for KubeCon Paris, I I wonder if you would see. My assumption is, and again, you have to drop it on to find out. But my assumption is you would probably see more data, but would you turn certain features off on Cilium, on Istio, um, if it's costing you more from a network cost perspective? Yeah, I don't think you were thinking about that. If you're watching this at cool cost, um, someone needs to go and maybe I'll drop Cilium on here just to see. I think we'll do a different video. But the breakdown on this is just crazy. Um, but this again, this is an era where transparency is helping us all make better decisions, right? They have the configuration for all the stuff. It's inside the same chart. Since I called out the page for the last feature, network cost, you'll find that on 2749. Again, it's disabled by default, but it's there. You can go ahead and turn it on. Scrape timeouts, additional labels, metric relabeling, Prometheus rules, set up all that stuff over there, and you'll really get some good information. You also have cloud provider service tagging, but that's a whole other conversation. So let's jump back over here and continue to go through. So we'll go over here to the monitor section. Here's the allocations. Here's the assets. All right. So no cluster management disk. Um, Here's all of that data here. Here's the tags that are associated, the labels that are associated with each of these Kubernetes resources. Cloud costs, as I said before, we have not gone ahead and turned this on yet, but that's where you will see this. You're talking about all of your Postgres, your Cassandra databases, all of that Redis, the AWS stuff that's there. You get to see all that. The S3 buckets, you get all of that there. And the cloud integration documentation is very straightforward. Um, so that's for network costs, cloud billing integrations. This is section you want to go ahead and check out. And it says if you use the Kubecost Cloud, do not attempt to modify install. Use the information from this article. You need to consult the Kubecost Cloud specific cloud integration procedures, which we found here. Great documentation. And then here it is for AWS, right? So the prerequisites for this is you need to create a cost and usage report through AWS. So again, I love how they're tying this back in to their billing section. And then the next component is creating, it shows you right creating cost and usage report. Um, and then it shows you here right time granularity. It said the daily resource IDs and Athena are enabled. So you have to have these two things set up prior to, and then you go ahead and add the integration and the cool costs. It's under additional details. I'll show you here. You go to settings, and then you go here, going down to view additional details, and that's it. And again, they tell you it may take up to 24 hours to publish the data. Wait until this is complete before continuing to the next step. So it is a little bit of a process, but nothing that cannot be, done in a day, and you just sit back and let the measures and the data roll on through. So sorry, I need a lozenge or something. Um, So let's go ahead and click on. We did cloud costs. Look at the cluster information. Clusters cost us $5.53, and it's 33.45% efficient. Last seen 24 minutes ago. Very cool. Here's a breakdown of everything: asset trends, namespace trends, namespace information on the left side. Just so many uh, data rich sections to just come in and look and poke around and see what you're actually doing. Here's the network section here. As you're stepping out of the monitor section, let's drop over to the collections. You can create a collection just by clicking the plus sign, give it a name, cost in the collection. You need to go ahead and set that up. Let's add some cost to this collection, and then you can go ahead and choose, right? So I want Kube system, or let's say I want everything other than Kube system, right? So I can go ahead and make that happen in here, and we'll actually we'll go back. I want to go ahead and create my own. So add costs, and we'll do Kube costs, and we'll do Nginx ingress. Um, so it shows us currently in the collection, 31 cents is the cost. What's not, this is other 25 cents from Coop System. So that's pretty cool. Um, so you have that, and you can filter this out by some of the same feature filters that I listed earlier. Here's a reports area. Create a report, an allocation report, an asset report, or the cloud cost report. And because we don't have that hooked up, you can't get it. But you have the option ability to have that there. So again, if you're liking this video, if you're like all these features from Kubecost, go ahead and give us a call. We'll gladly go ahead and get you signed up and get you on the path to financial freedom when it comes to Kubernetes. Let's look at our savings. $704. Mm. Again, 100 times this amount for some organizations. 100x, and just imagine what this cost is. Right size cluster nodes, reserved instances, right size container requests, manage abandoned workloads, manage unclaimed volumes, manage local disks, manage orphan resources, right size persistent volumes, underutilized nodes, unclaimed volumes, spot commander. Here's everything that you can go ahead and do. There's the insights that are listed there. And let's see what else we have. Outside of that, let's go over to actions. Here's Kubecost Actions, a one-stop shop for managing all automated jobs that Kubecost executes for you. From this page, you will be able to see which jobs are enabled and when they're scheduled to run. Get started. Again, you can go ahead and just read the documentation, click create action, and again, it's very straightforward. Alerts. Keep in mind this using Alert Manager. I'm actually show you something really cool in a second, but you can monitor cluster health. You can monitor Kubecost health just by switching this on. Slack webhook, Teams webhook, email, all of that good jazz is all right here. You can set up how you want the email to alert to look. You can also set up the link back information, and then you can go ahead and just save this and ship it. And then here's the govern section. Here's the budget that we set up before, and then it has an anomaly section here in terms of just those weird edge cases, like what's going on. So I'm gonna go back up here. I'm gonna click on this, and let's click on Kube system, and let's click on core DNS. And I want to go one level further. So we're on core DNS. Here is the node. Here's the container, the hours, the cost per hour, the total cost. But look at this, open in Grafana. Bam. Look at Kubecost just wowing customers. So built in Grafana, you can come in here, like what dashboards does it come with? Like, come take a look. Here's every bit of data, right? We didn't deploy Splunk. We didn't deploy Cortex. We didn't deploy Loki. We didn't deploy Datadog, F cluster, and L cluster, OpenSearch. We deployed Kubecost, and look at the data, right? The core usage versus requested, memory usage versus requested, disk IO, network IO, CPU throttle information. And then you can also, change this data source. Actually, you can come over here and change the namespace. I want to go ahead and see what's Kubecost doing, right? Here's all that information here. If I want to jump out one more, here's the dashboards for cluster cost and utilization metrics. Yeah, all of that's there. We can also go ahead and look at just the Kubecost cluster metrics, network costs, label costs, and utilization, node utilization, pod utilization. Just it's all here for us to just disseminate and really get enlightened on what everything is costing us. Um, as we are coming to the end, SSO is not configured. Want to click on Teams? Of course not. Backend team, support team. These are all the permissions you can set. Here are the service accounts listed here. You can even add a service account on the previous page. You can also add a team here, right? Set all that stuff up. And last but not least, you have settings. And we covered this before when it came to enabling that advanced feature down here, but just kind of stepping through it. Here's all the information on Kubecost. Here's a license. Here's a streamline, your monitoring. So unified multi-cluster view, long-term metric retention, SAML information, labels, cloud integrations, pricing, allocate idle resources, enable custom pricing, highlight unreconciled costs. Definitely want to go ahead and do that. Share costs. You can put all that information there. Share tenancy costs, et cetera, et cetera. There's just so much data for you to go ahead and customize, even down to discounts. Right, estimated sustained use discount, negotiated discount, and then Prometheus status. Like those PromCon sessions were not missed on Kubecost, so that's awesome. Full diagnostics, you can go ahead and do a usage report. Usage reports are always pretty cool because you can see, a really solid breakdown of what's going on. But get that and then ship that. You can also come in here, turn on experimental features. Not gonna get into what those are, but some of them we've already talked about. Right, they're currently in beta, but you can turn it on, click save, and that's that. Um, I don't think we have any questions tonight regarding cool costs. Like I said, in order to deploy it, I would recommend, go ahead, get the Helm chart. Literally, you're talking about one tag, not one tag, but one value that's going to be updated for the cool cost token. I would definitely assign this its own ingress controller and, update your class and then deploy it out and give it a couple of days. Give us a call. We'll deploy for it if you're not comfortable really getting that information. But this is just fantastic. So I definitely am looking forward to further integrations. Really cool if this can tie into Harbor and give me deeper insight on here are the containers that you have in your repository, and here's what they're currently costing you in each provider. That'd be sweet. So, but that's pretty much it. Um, Nothing else to say except again, this is a enterprise ready. This is a day zero ready application. There are plenty of customers out there that are running Kube costs, and if you're not, I'm gonna ask you, what are you doing? How are you actually being a benefit to your organization? How are you helping them save money? How are you helping them become more efficient? How are you, being honorable to the stakeholders? Right? You cannot properly steward what you do not manage, right? And what you don't monitor. If you're not going to monitor, then we can't be, those departments. We can't be the people who other teams depend upon because we're not providing truth back to them and letting them know, hey, here's what it's actually costing you. So again, You want to go ahead and manage your infrastructure in a sane way, and not just, hey, from an engineering or a development standpoint, but let's get FinOps really a thing. Let's socialize. Let's make sure that we're in compliance, and that we're in line with the goal set, not just from a verbal or arbitrary standpoint. No, we're actually adding value. Kubecost adds value. Interesting Kubecost. If you like today's video, my name is Rudy McComb. I'm a founder and principal engineer here at THNKBIG Technologies. We're located here in Austin, Texas, and we're here to help you win and succeed when it comes to cloud technology. Cloud technology also does not limit us to just AWS, DigitalOcean, GCP, or Azure. It's also over to on-prem as well. So you're on-prem, we're here to assist you. We're here to have those conversations, and let's get you and your team focused on revenue generating activities. And let's go ahead and add that 60% back into the coffers. Get you some more engineers, get you some more developers, and let's get these products out here so we can do the good work that we all love to do while also helping a business earn more and save more money. What's up? ThinkBig.com. Follow us on all social media platforms: X, Facebook, Instagram at Think Big Tech, THNKBIG TECH. And again, thank you for your time and have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.